Welcome back to the channel. This is the second part of my Black Powder Battle Report American Civil War. So I'm solo playing, and if you've not been following the battle so far, what we have is based on our Confederate defense holding off Union troops in the precursor to the Battle of Antietam. Something like South Mountain Crompton's Gap. The idea is this pike leads through some hills. We're fighting in the foothills at the moment. Confederates are holding this farm area, and the Union are trying to attack. So we have a Union brigade starting to form up. Who's going to take the hill range first? This Union brigade, or will the Confederates manage to get on and push them back? In the centre we have two Union brigades fighting a larger brigade holding the farm. And in the far distance there, that's a Union brigade that hasn't managed to hit the table yet. But all is not lost for the Confederates, because they have another brigade, Cobb's brigade, also racing to join the battle. So we've just had Confederate turn 2, so it's now Union turn 2. So let's see. I'm going to start off with this Union brigade here. Orders are going to be to change formation. And we're going to change formation into a line. Then we're going to advance on that hill, and if practicable, Commander Newton, Brigadier Newton, you are to form a defence line up on that hill and pour fire down onto the Rebs. So leadership 8, +1 because we're march column, so it's going to be 9 is our target number. We're going to need 1 to move, a couple of moves up the hill, so we're going to need a good result with a 6 or less. And we've rolled an 8. So the Union troops are being a bit tardy, and they're going to shake themselves out into their line formation. At least then, if Johnny Reb comes over the hill, they're not going to be at too much of a disadvantage. I always underestimate how much distance line takes. When I'm doing 28mm Napoleonics, we have a line which is 3x2 just to fit more stuff onto the table, and these fellas are going to form a line. So rather than my normal 3 battalions in the front with a 1 in reserve, it looks like it's going to be 2 and 2 for my large battalions. The artillery were already deployed. Okay, let's look over in the centre. So to our right we have Talbot's brigade. Talbot's command is this command here. What we are going to do, this unit's disordered, which kind of slows things up. So we're going to attempt to deploy the artillery. We'll do that as a second command. The rest of the command is we're going to advance to within 12 and form a line. So it'll be this brigade, this battalion and this battalion forming the first line, this battalion and that battalion in reserve. So we're looking at commanders 8. So we're only going to be needing 1 move to bring us to within 12. So an 8 or less on 2 dice. Now the army commander can give a reroll, and I've rolled a 7, which is enough for us to do our first command. So to within 12, within close range. This unit's going to form up within 6. This unit has a passage of lines to make. Normally, if you're without 24, that's easy enough to make. But because we're within 24, we do have to roll a dice. It's a morale save, and on a 1, it's a fail. I'm going to see if there's anything else with a 1. So it's normally a morale save. I think the rule's called hurry up. Pass on through. This is from the Glory Hallelujah booklet. Passage of lines, for God's sake, come on. When into penetrations within 24 enemy, we take for God's sake, come on test. This is done by rolling a single dice. Score's the same or higher than the advancing regiments. Morale save, everything's good. If the score's 2 or lower, Halts upon first contact with the touching regiment was trying to move through. So these fellas move up and halts. The other thing I should have done was recovered their disorder at the end of the Confederate turn. So I was going to give an order to deploy the cannon. At an 11, that's a fail. I'm not going to use a reroll on that. The cannon's in decent range there. We do have some decent shots, so we'll use the general's reroll. A 7, so the artillery is deployed. Now we're looking at our 2nd Brigade, which is coming down over the hill. There's less space than I would have liked. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to pull the 1st Battalion forward, the 2nd Battalion to pass on through this massive whatever. Okay. And border line as well with that. And these two are going to follow the original plan and form up behind. Let's see what the dice say. Dice say 3, that's superb. Which are going to basically every unit 3 moves. Now for the passage of lines, a 2. Now if you are fresh, you do get pluses to that. +1. So it does get through that massive confusion in front of it. If this goes 1 lower, then the regiment halts in front of the regiment is trying to pass through and touching it. So it's going to be 1. It's going to be one of its moves. Two of its moves. This unit's going to come up. Avoiding the edge of the woods. So yeah, so that would have won 1, 2, 3. These fellas will come down. It's getting a bit crowded down that side. The artillery's on the hill. And let's roll for these reserves coming up. So give it a metal. Oh, 6 they've turned up. So flying columns turned up. So I want to throw the flying column up to the road. For starters, 3 moves up to the road. The cavalry, when they get up to the road with 3 moves, they'll be able to dismount if they're within range. So we've got a 6, because they're all in column, etc. That's going to be 3 moves. They're not in road, but column will give them +1 to 9. So the infantry is going to come on. 36. Ignore this. This is dismounted stuff for the cavalry. Cavalry is going to get 1836. 1836. That's 36. Another 18. So they haven't got quite to the road, but they are starting to form a threat. So let's get some shooting done. So we have the artillery here. So it's over half, so it does get 1 dice for artillery at long range. It's a hit, which disorders this unit. Normal morale is -1. Because hit by artillery at long range. It's a 5, they've saved that, but they are disordered. Now this unit here is within 12, but not from the centre, so I'm not going to give it the +1. It's going to be 4s. I'm not going to give the Confederates this because they're not actually holding that. So 4s, 1 hit, which will be another disorder, and it's a save on a 6. because these have came up, they've managed to kind of block the artillery again. This always happens. One of the reasons why I've started playing with hills more. So this unit's going to fight the unit in front of it. Is it within 12? It is just out, so hit on 5s. 2 hits, which disorders the Confederates. Do we have any saves for the Confederates? I've rolled a 2 and a 2. Pushes them up to 3. They're in a poor state now. And disorder is going to make them tricky to pull out that line. And they're shooting here. A 6, a 5 and a 4. So again, disorders the unit. And it's only got 2 hits because they are defending that defence line. So what do we have for saves? Double 1. Union has the better of it. The end of the Union turn. Is there any troops to undisorder? There is. Make sure my commanders are where I want them. Should have done that before I started doing the shooting, but it's not the end of the world. Now, who does my general want to influence? I think this is going to be quite a critical manoeuvre to start pushing down there. So he's going to move over here to influence them. The flying column is advancing. Put that fella there. Confederates, turn 3. I noticed when I was talking about most of that, I didn't actually zoom out for the flying column there, but you can see the flying column they've advanced. Down here, these fellas are advancing and pushing towards a hill, and you saw what's happening in the centre there. Okay, so Confederates, we'll start off with command here. Backseals command. Backseals command. So for the 2 battalions in front, form line and advance to the crest of the hill and pour some fire on the Blue Jackets. And we've got a 5. So form line, the 5 will give us obviously the 3 we need. So form line. And obviously with 3, we've got more than enough to get us onto the hill. I should have given those orders to move up in support. That's my standard command, so that would happen. And these fellas, they're going to advance and deploy around here, so we can pour some fire on the attacking. And I've got an 8. They are limbered, so they will get +1 to that. So let us get us advanced and deployed. So over at the front, all our units in the front line are all disordered. So there's not a lot they can do as the commanders try and undisorder them. So let's roll, see if our reserves turn up. So best place to roll will be around there. And so 1, they are not turning up. This could be a tough battle for the Confederacy. Commanders. Going to move there. My army commander has got 48 move. I'm just going to push over here in case we have some fancy manoeuvres to make. It's better to probably have the reroll. So let's start off our fighting on this flank. So looking at what's straight ahead. They've all got separate targets, so first Confederate unit's going to pour fire into those guys, and we've got 1 hit. The Union does not save it, so stamina marker. They're shooting next to it from these into them. We've managed to get 3 misses. And then we have some artillery. So this artillery is going to pour fire. Now we are close range now. Well, not close range, but we're kind of medium range, which is less than half. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and it's got a 1 and a 2. This is not good for the Confederacy. So firing from here. This unit, fire into them. -1 to hit because of our disorder. And we've got a 6, which disorders the Union. Can the Union save that morale? And they've got a 3. And again, they're going to fire off again. Normally 4s, we're disordered, so 5s. And we've got a 6, which disorders. Does the Union save it? And it's got 1 as well. And again, trading fire. And it's a 6 as well, with 1 hit. Can the Union save it? And a 4 they do. The artillery is going to fire. Let's put some fire into that. Long range, just 1 dice, and it's a 2, which is a miss. That is the Confederate turn 3 over. Disordered units are now undisordered. And we're going to push over to the Union turn 4. So we have the firefight about to take place that we want over here. So the brigade command is going to be the line, front 2 battalions to advance, front 2 regiments, to advance and start engaging the troops on the hill with a firefight as close as possible, with the 2 units forming up in support behind. So just out of 12 inches, so we don't suffer any penalties to that. So it's standard 8s. I rolled a 3. I rolled Confederate red dice instead of Union dice there. So we said to move up into close range. So close range is to within 6. So imagine the Union stood at the bottom of the hill, trading fire, and again the infantry will be blocking the lines of fire for the artillery, but the Union, the Confederacy, is on a hill, and they'll easily be able to make this. We have the commander up. Now over in the centre, 2 brigades, Talbot's and Bartlett's brigade. The line is disordered. There's a bit of stamina building up, so what we're going to do is trade some fire and hold this Confederate attention. Well, hopefully my flying column can get round this turn and do some damage. So what I'm going to do is, first up, Talbot's command, which are these here. We're actually going to use Talbot's. I'm not going to come to Talbot first, I'm going to do Bartlett first. What I'm going to do is actually send these 2 regiments off around this wood to join in this flanking manoeuvre. What I'm hoping is that will give us a hefty command over there, so when the Confederate reserves come on, if they manage to make it to this battle, they're going to have to deploy over that side, which still keeps me with a bigger command in the front. So these 2 regiments to turn to your left and advance round following the path that the flying brigade's going to make. So, and I've rolled a 4. So turning's basically 3, because further than 12 from the enemy, so 36. We'll get this column and advance around the woods. Troops in lines, not going to be doing too much, so actually the brigade commander is going to follow them. And over here, Talbot's brigade going to form their line in support of the troops in front. And we've got a 10, which is no good for us, but the commander is with us for a re-roll, and it's a 9, which also is no good for us. We needed an 8 or less. So finally we come to the flying column. Now what we are going to do is we're going to continue the advance with the infantry to the wood, to the line of the road. And we want them kind of here, forming some lines to either threaten the rear of the Confederate force here or face off against some potential reserve. Now the reserves aren't actually there, reserves could come on kind of anywhere at the back, but I am anticipating that if I was Confederate commander, and I am the Confederate commander, I will be throwing them on there to maybe throw this flank back. What I'm going to do with this is one of the things that cavalry's for, is we're going to advance to here, we're going to dismount, we're going to advance into the woods and act as skirmishers firing through the woods. So we'll start off with the infantry first, and we've rolled an 8 for the infantry. So they are in march column, so that is 2 moves, which will take us 24. And for that cavalry manoeuvre, we've rolled a 9. Pressing march column, we've got 1 move, which will get the cavalry over here, ready to start dismounting. So that is the end of the movement phase, the Union turn. So we now have some shooting. So we'll start off over here. So this time, disordered Union troops defending the dug Confederates. I need 6ers. So again, I didn't realise we were all zoomed out there. So you saw my troops march behind the hill. Now you wouldn't know, fog of war, you wouldn't know there's 4 regiments and a regiment of cavalry behind that wood there. So we could start with shooting in the middle, and we're looking at 6ers as fire ripples across the line. Normally 4s, and it's disordered, shooting troops behind defences. Nothing. And the next regiment fires a 6, which is 1 hit, which disorders the unit. Now this unit is at full stamina, so if it doesn't save this, then that unit is going to be taken for a test, and it does save it on a 6. And again, pour some fire over here. This would be 5s, and it's a hit and a disorder. And again, let's see if we can get this saved. No, it doesn't, so they go up to stamina 3. Artillery. We are going to shoot over here. We've got 1 dice, which is a hit. Now this could be dangerous for the Union, Confederacy. So they've got an extra stamina marker. And they've taken artillery losses, so they're going to be taking some tests next turn. Again, I've got a gap in the middle. Hopefully I'll be able to get this unit out of the way and give my artillery some free fire positions. So over here, we're going to start off, we advance to within 6, so +1 hits with 3s versus the troops on the hill. And I am going to bring the camera down so we can actually see what's happening. I'll zoom out a bit more. So over here, so the fight going on here. So this first unit is shooting. We're requiring 3s to hit. And we've got 653, so disordered. Can Confederacy save? Saves all 3. Just suffering disorder there. And again, this unit is going to fire up on the hill. And we've got 533. Close range, so all of those hit. Confederate unit though is not disordered, so Confederate manages to save 2 and takes a single 1. The artillery is going to shoot the unit that got disordered on the hill, so 2 dice, and that's going to be 1 hit, which the Confederates don't save. And that is the end of the shooting from the Union. So we now have some break tests to make. So test if excess hits were suffered by shooting. So we're going to start off over at the farm. And we'll zoom in on this unit here, who has suffered excess hits from shooting. Break test modifiers -1 for excess casualties, -1 because it is disordered. So -2. So I'm going to roll my 2 dice. And take 2 off the results. So that's an 11. So 11 -2 is more than the 7 or more. So they're okay. Basically morale tests, if you're rolling low, break test, that's bad. So we remove the excess hits. Then we also needed that's it, no more morale tests. Break tests. So it's Confederate turn 4. What we're going to do, so troops on the hill. We're going to continue to exchange fire on the hill. We're quite happy with where we are there. Over in the centre, we have the unit closest to the woods that aren't disordered. They're going to fall back, and we'll make that an initiative move. And then the unit behind it will advance up and through it and take its position in the firing space. So the initiative move happens automatically. So let's see if we can pass through the lines. A 6, done in handsome style. And for this unit to advance and take their position. And we've rolled a 10, fortunately the army commander is with us. And they've rolled an 11, which is worse. So we've tried to redress our battle lines and probably ended up with something that we didn't want there. And these field scars can't give any more orders, not that there is any more orders, but let's roll to see if my reserves turn up, which they have done. So the reserves are advancing. You know what, I've just got to hope that the centre and this flank holds and that these boys can smash the Union in the flank. So we're going to take a command test all in column. We're going to send, form a line here, 3 wide, pop some artillery on the hill. Actually, want our line just in front of the hill, pop some artillery on the hill, 1 in reserve. And I've rolled an 8. Normal would be 8 plus 1 is 9. So I've got 2 moves out of that. So let's push 24. And 36 for the artillery. The artillery is not going to get unlimbered. Horse artillery, you get a free unlimber and limbering. So let's have a look at some Confederate firepower. So we'll start off on this side of the table. So troops on the hill. Normally supposed to hit close range. 3s. 6, 2 and a 1. Union troops are disordered. And we're going to take a morale save for the Union troops, which they make as well. So the next unit firing over, they're disordered as they're firing down from the hill. So a 6, 5 and a 1. So 2 hits on the Union troops. A Union disordered and takes a stamina loss as well. The other thing I should have done at the end of the Union phase was undisorder any of the Union troops which had been disordered. So, okay, so we've got firepower. Start with these cannons. So 2 dice into those, 1 hit, and it's disorder. -1 to the save. And doesn't do it, so increases stamina. This regiment pours some fire in on 5s because we're disordered. Again, another hit. Union save that one. And over here, firing forwards again. 3 hits. The Union regiment. 2 saves. And these guys are in range, so we will shoot. There is a defence line now in between it, so we'll give them -1 to hit. And they all miss. The artillery is deployed on the hill. Pour fire into this unit here. 1 dice, which also misses. So that is the end of the Confederate turn.